Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda. I'm autistic. I have ADHD. I have a memory disorder called SDAM, which stands for Severely Deficient Autobiographical Memory. And I have total aphantasia, which is where my channel name, I Am Mind Blind, comes from because I can't visualize it in my mind. Today I'm really excited because it was one of those aha moments that I had a couple days ago and I wanted to share it with y'all. So I came across, well, I don't want to say I came across, I follow a fellow autistic content creator. Her name is The Starving Autist on TikTok. And she posted a video the other day that kind of was like, whoa, that makes so much sense. And I want to expand on what she had to say. So it was, again, one of my new favorite subjects is talking about the difference between allistic, which is non-autistic, and autistic communication and the way that our brains work. Like, this topic is very fascinating to me and I just want to keep learning about our communication differences to try to bridge gaps of communication so that we can communicate more effectively with each other from the different neurotypes. And it's not that one neurotype is better than the other. It's just that's very different. And the more that you learn about it, the more the differences are highlighted. So when it comes to processing and bandwidth of energy expelled to have a communication, like a conversation with somebody of an opposite brain type, a neurotype than you, when autistic people are communicating with allistic, in our minds, we are using bandwidth. We are trying to have to process the subcontext that are said between the lines, because a lot of times allistic people communicate in subtext things that aren't being said. Like, they call that, reading between the lines. And autistic brains don't inherently pick up on the subtext. So oftentimes we are trying to decipher if there is any subtext, and oftentimes we just completely miss it. And so then we have to use bandwidth to try to figure out if, clearing up the communication because there was a miscommunication because we didn't get the message received. We are also looking and trying to decipher non-verbal body cues. And again, oftentimes we just miss them completely, which leads to miscommunications. Well, the aha moment that the Starving Autist shared in her TikTok is that allistic people, they use more bandwidth when they're talking to us because autistic people often want to delve deep into relationships and conversations. We don't like small talk.
I forgot to add that autistic people see diving straight into the heart of a conversation as an efficient way of communicating, but this isn't how allistic people communicate.
And for an allistic person, their brain isn't ready for that. They have to process deeper conversations in a different way. They have to be in the right mind space for it. It isn't something that they can just readily jump to. That small talk is an important step for their brains to make sure that the person that they're talking to is a safe person that they want to have a more meaningful, depthful conversation with. And this is something that actually gets a lot of autistic people into trouble because, you've seen my video on hierarchy. We don't generally think of people in levels. Like, a lot of times we approach everybody on the same level and everybody is equally a safe person. Now, we do have our gut instincts. Sometimes there will be the thing like, okay, there's something off about that person that we don't feel, or at least I do. I think depending on your autistic traits and this might vary from autistic person to autistic person. Like some people, I know that somebody in the comments has mentioned several times that she does not have that gut radar of like whether a person is safe or not, and she actually has to have more support in this area, and her husband really has to help her determine whether or not somebody is a safe person. And then there are other autistic people who, like my son, who's like, okay, nobody in this world is safe. I think that's also, he's got comorbidity of OCD, and I think that contributes to some of it also. But he just kind of approaches, again, same level, like nobody's safe. I generally click with almost everybody immediately. Like I will see somebody, and after a quick conversation, like my brain already has them that they're my friend. Like everybody's a friend to me. And that's a pretty common autistic experience where we put people in a friend category lightning fast, way faster than allistic people. Allistic people need, that's what their small talk is. It's like this build up. It's this like get to know you slowly over time. Is this person a safe person to then give a little bit more and more and more depthful conversations to? And one way that this can harm autistic people is that we will trust too quickly, and then information and vulnerable stories that we might share with somebody then can be used against us in like kind of an abusive sort of situation, relationships. So yesterday, so I mentioned I have a memory disorder, and the way that my memory works is I have facts about things that have happened in my life, but I can't relive events in my life. Like once something's happened, I can't remember it in depth with very like a rich emotional experience. I just have like a grocery list of facts of like this, and this happened. I had watched this video from the Starving Autist a couple of days ago, and I'm a slow processor, so sometimes like it like trickles in, and I was thinking about it. And originally I thought, I've been very lucky that for the most part, even though I jump into relationships very fast and very quickly, and I give out intimate details, and I don't use the word intimate don't collapse it with sexual. That's separate. Like intimate just means like, stories about yourself that you would normally maybe hold close to you until you know a person well. But because I trust so fast and so easily, these stories aren't something that I hold close. I give away more freely than an allistic person would do. Hold on, I lost my train of thought here again. So, okay. Oh yeah. So so I was processing that, and at first I was like, I've been very lucky. But I think also because of my memory disorder, I'm sure that things have been said to me and been used against me, and I literally just don't remember it. And my memory disorder, I think, has protected me in a lot of ways, from like in a sort of PTSD trauma capacity that a lot of autistic people do have a higher suffer trauma rate from, because the fact that I just can't relive the memories. And okay, I'm getting off topic. I mean, I do feel like I am processing trauma from being undiagnosed autistic, but I don't think it's as intense of a process for me because my memory disorder in a way kind of protects me. But I did kind of remember something that had happened to me that could have gone very bad. Luckily, it didn't, but it could have been if it played out a little bit differently. So I'm going to tell you, it's kind of story time. So when after I was first married, um, we lived in an apartment for a little while, and then we bought a house together, and it was in a brand new construction neighborhood. We actually got to like pick out all the flooring and all of that of this house. It was very exciting for us, and it was a starter home, but we were young, married, and very excited to be feeling like adults. And I got onto this like hyper fixation. Of course, this I was completely undiagnosed at this point because I was only diagnosed with autism and ADHD about 8 months ago. But anyway, so we were new to this neighborhood, but everybody was like, everybody was moving into this neighborhood at the same time because it was all new construction, new houses. I mention this because like every single person in the neighborhood was like all new, and we were all kind of looking to be friends and make friends. And I mean, to some degree, there was definitely some people who just wanted to move to their house and you never really saw them again, but it was a really friendly neighborhood. Anyway, the family who lived across the street from us, she was a little bit younger than me, but also, again, I think autistic people, we don't take into age considerations very much. Like I have friends often that are much younger or much older than myself. I actually often have a harder time relating to my own peer group age wise than, I mean, that's gotten better with time, but when I was younger, for sure. Anyway, so they were a family, and it was this lady and her husband, and she had 2 kids. And again, we moved in childless, and we were hoping to start a family soon. I well, now I realize I thought it was biological clock, and maybe it was some of that too, but I really think it was just a hyperfixation. Like I was so focused on ready to become a mom. Super exciting. Well, in the meantime, um, I I was trying to, again, I don't have memory problems. I don't have memory. I had been working at a daycare that I've mentioned on this channel for a while, but I think after the move, like I wasn't, like I don't think I had started a new job yet. And so I had a lot of time on my hands. I was applying for teaching positions at this point, but I hadn't gotten hired anywhere. And she was a stay-at-home mom. And so oftentimes I would see her and her kids playing out in the street or in her yard in the morning. And so I'd go over there and we would just have small talk and just visit. And we became friends very fast. And it came to the point where I would, after her kids would go to school, or I don't remember if it was summer. Again, I don't have memories. There's just these facts, and then I have to use logic to kind of fill in the blanks. But I would often go over to her house in the morning, and she would have like a cup of coffee. I don't drink coffee, but I would either, whatever. I'm trying to fill in with details, but I don't have them. But I would go over to her house very often, and we would hang out and visit. And then there were times where we got to be close enough that I babysat her kids a couple of times when she had a doctor's appointment and things like that. And I just adored her children. And I really enjoyed having what I thought was like a best friend across the street. Like it was the perfect situation for me. I was so excited about this. Until one day, I got a letter that said that she had some concerns and she was worried that I was planning on kidnapping her children. And I don't remember if she used that word exactly, but it was like very much implied. And the shock, the confusion, the like complete and utter like, what the heck? Like, for one thing, did she think that we were going to kidnap her children and move across the country and we just bought this house? Like, I don't know. So basically, being an undiagnosed autistic person, she probably was throwing out a bunch of hints and nonverbal cues that I was spending too much of her time at her house, and I didn't get any of those messages. I didn't read between the lines. I thought it was always welcome over there. And I bring up the babysitting because, like, I feel like you wouldn't, have wanted me to babysit your kids if you didn't think I was a safe person with them. I had, like I said, was applying to be a teacher. I had worked at a daycare. I loved kids. I'd been a camp counselor for many, many years. Anyway, the shock was very real for me. And honestly, even to this day, I think it was more her husband was uncomfortable with me than her. But he was the one who was like, hey, you need to tell your friend she can't come over anymore. And like, I'm thinking he had more concerns because he didn't see me playing with the kids as much as she did. And I think they just thought it was weird that a childless person wanted to hang out with a couple that had kids. That's what I'm guessing. But again, I thought she was my friend and the kids were also fun. I liked them. But how this relates to the beginning of this video is that I, as an autistic person, got very close very quickly to the point where it was uncomfortable for the allistic couple living across the street. To them, it sent off red flags. It spent too much bandwidth for their processing. They were like, why is this person like, it didn't make sense to them. And for me, I was reading a situation in a whole different way and was just like so excited to have a best friend right across the street from me. So, of course, I dove in with so much enthusiasm. And now, retrospectively, I can understand and I can see how, because allistic people like to take things so much slower, that it was probably very alarming for them. And the reason why I said this could have been dangerous and could have turned out way worse is if the husband had had a real concern, like he maybe could have reported me as being an unsafe person around his kids or something. Like it could have been bad. Anyway, to sum it up, it became very, very, very obviously awkward. I may have missed all of the nonverbal cues or the subcontext, but that letter was like a very clear boundary line in the sand. And it was like, okay. And so I, basically went no contact at that point with my neighbors. And it was, I spent more time in my backyard, less time in my front yard. If I saw them outside, I just, wouldn't go out unless, I was just going to my car to leave or something. And this went on for a while till when I finally got pregnant with my twins, and then she got pregnant with her third child around the same time as I did. And she actually invited me to her baby shower. And I think that was her olive branch to say, okay, maybe I misjudged you. Let's, be cordial neighbors again. I did go. It was super awkward, but I wanted to mend fences. And it's not like we were ever friends again after that. But at least for the next 5 years that we were neighbors, it wasn't me like trying to avoid her out in the street. But it just goes to show how autistic people's motives often are misconstrued because we will jump into relationships so fast and so quickly. And this is with friendships, with romantic partners, with everything. Like, I'm very, very lucky. I don't talk about my husband very often on this channel because he's much more of a private person, but we kind of have had a very quick whirlwind romance. He met my energy very evenly. And when we first started dating, I did that whole autistic thing where I threw myself all in, but he was there to catch it and receive it. So it worked out for us, where a lot of times an autistic person will move a lot faster in a relationship than if they're trying to date somebody who is allistic and that allistic person is like, whoa, what's going on? We need to take it slow. And I've had so many friends who I always thought were so standoffish, and it's like, why won't they open up to me? Why does it feel like I'm pulling teeth to try to get any information? Why won't they share? And now I see that the way that they process, they have to get to know somebody so much more slowly. And it's part of the way of like them making sure that they are in a safe relationship with somebody before they give too much of themselves. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. It was a big aha moment for me, and I'm sure I will still, like I said, I like to process and learn out loud with y'all. So I'm sure that I will still keep thinking on this topic. And so can't wait to see what y'all all comment down below. And I will see you on the next one.